that had been during the season? What have you liked about the shot quality that you're creating in the corners versus up the break, or do you feel like it's pretty consistent across the board?
It depends on the possession. It's they're not all created equally. And above the break three might be the best shot you're getting on that possession, just based on how you explored it prior to that point. And then there may be possessions where you settle for those, and there was something else available, corner three or another drive. So we try to evaluate them possession by possession, teach through those clips, both on an individual level and team level, and just try to get better in our attacks.
Well, you said that Denver series that you felt pretty good to have your resolve sharpened as a team. I just wonder, other guys that you felt were especially equipped to sort of carry that out, and maybe now so in the series?
I mean, the thing that I've always appreciated about our team is that it doesn't come from one source. Everybody leads in their own way, but everybody leads. And whether that's Lou with his physicality, or Alex with his voice, or Shea's confidence, or the guys that have stayed ready, step in and step up when we've needed them. Everybody's led, and that's the strength of our team, is that builds kind of an internal momentum. And when it's time to stand up, in the competition, they do it together, which is unique and something that we have to continue to lean on.
Coach, Shea is playing at his absolute confident level right now. Obviously, he's a league MVP now. He's had 2 great games in games 1 and 2. How does he bring that confidence into game 3, knowing your team's up 2-0?
It's a question for him, but the last thing I worry about is really a lot of our guys, but certainly Shea's ability to get himself there for the competition. The guys understand that we're in the playoffs. The guys understand that Minnesota's coming home down 0-2, and that we're going to get a haymaker from them tonight. And we have to rise to that if we want to compete in the game. And so Shea understands that. The rest of our team understands that.
Mark, in what ways have you seen Chet improve as these playoffs have gone on, given his limited time to play during the regular season, fighting back through injury? Have you seen improvement from him in these last few weeks?
Yeah, and I think just he's a third-year player, but injuries have occupied him about half of that time, and so he's still a growing player. There's still runway for him in a lot of areas. You leave a game, and usually there's a lot he can learn from that game, and you look back and say, man, he was impactful in his minutes despite that, and that's exciting. He's got an insatiable approach to improvement, and that's why he's improved so quickly, and he's done a great job so far in these playoffs. But he also, like I said, has some runway to improve, both in the series and generally.
Coach, good to see you.
Good to see you.
You're young, but you're an old soul. That being said, I'm curious, do you remember your early days of watching, like when you first started watching playoff basketball? What comes to mind?
I was a Celtics fan, so it was like the Paul Pierce Celtics, and that was kind of what I grew up on. I just felt like he made every shot that he needed to make at that time. It's like shot 100% when you needed one. So that's what I remember most.
You go if you want.
Mark, I know with a lot of guys, you seem more optimistic than most coaches about a guy's runway, even as they're maybe older in the NBA years. Like for Caruso, I don't know if you still view him as a guy that can develop. Like, has he improved at anything noticeably in his coaching routine?
I think with a guy like him, his improvement is not necessarily in a vacuum anymore, the way it would be for a guy like Chet or Casey Wallace. He's pretty refined and seasoned in terms of understanding who he is as a player, and that's hardened pretty well, and that's why he's so reliable and consistent. But I think at that point, the improvement comes like inside the team, like how to play inside of this system, inside of this team with these teammates. I think he and Hart are both in that category, although I think Hart has some like player development improvement that he can still access. But there is runway for those guys because of how little time they've had. But yet they've made a ton of progress, with that in the season. It's just felt like they've been on the team for 5 years because of how seamlessly they fit. So we all have to continue to get better. Right now, we have to get better in this series. You can't stagnate in a playoff series because it's constantly moving forward and evolving. And we all need to improve with this series as we navigate it. Game 2 was much different from Game 1, and Game 3 will likely be different as well.
Coach, Julius was shut down big time in Game 2. How do you look to bring that into Game 3, and how is that going to be the difference to grab a 3-0 lead potentially?
The games are never a continuation of the previous game. Tonight's a brand new night, it's a brand new game. They'll change some things, I'm sure. We'll change some things. And the game's going to have its own life. And so we're not trying to carry anything over. We're trying to take the lessons, but be very present in tonight's competition, understanding that, like I said, tonight's a completely new chapter in the series.